Here is the equipment you will need for your experiment. A 10 milliliter volumetric pipette, a 100 ml beaker, a 50 ml beaker, a 100 ml volumetric flask and stopper, sodium chloride, pipette bulb and pipette pump, a Pasteur pipette and bulb, a glass rod, a spatula, and a funnel. This is how you should find your equipment as you arrive at your station. Here is the top loading balance positioned next to the sink in this video. However, in reality, the balance will be positioned in the middle of the bench between the two students seen here. Place the dry 100 ml weighing beaker on the balance. Wrap your finger with a paper towel before pressing the tare button. If the readout is not stabilized to 0.000 grams, press again until it does. Weigh directly into the beaker approximately 6 grams of sodium chloride. It does not have to be exactly 6.000 grams, but you must write down all the digits displayed by the balance on the data sheet. Remove the beaker from the balance and add no more than 50 milliliters of deionized water, used measured with the markings on the beaker itself. Use a glass rod to help dissolve most of the sodium chloride. Use a funnel to quantitatively transfer the sodium chloride solution into the 100 milliliter volumetric flask. All of the contents of the beaker must end up in the flask without any loss. This is accomplished by first pouring the mixture from the beaker to the volumetric flask, rinsing the beaker with a small amount of water several times, and adding each rinsing to the volumetric flask. The same goes with the glass rod and then the funnel. Be sure to rinse with small amounts so that the mark on the volumetric flask is not exceeded. After the salt is fully dissolved, add deionized water until the bottom of the meniscus is exactly at the line on the volumetric flask. You may add deionized water from the squirt bottle or pour it from a beaker until the liquid level reaches the neck of the flask. Add the remaining small quantity of water dropwise using a Pasteur pipette. Cap the volumetric flask with the glass stopper and mix by inversion at least 3 times to homogenize the mixture. This is the sodium chloride solution required in part 3. First, pour some deionized water into a 50 milliliter beaker. Hold the pipette close to the top with one hand. With the other hand, attach the bulb to the pipette stem to a depth of no more than a few millimeters. Compress the bulb and then insert the tip of the pipette into the solution. Slowly release the pressure on the bulb, allowing the solution to be drawn up the pipette. Continue releasing the bulb pressure until the liquid level is about halfway between the volume mark and the bulb. The pressure on the bulb constant. Push the bulb off the stem with the forefinger of the other hand. In the same action, quickly place the forefinger over the stem end. Release the finger pressure slowly to allow the solution to drain just to the volume mark. The bottom of the meniscus should be touching the volume mark, seen here. Hold the pipette tip against the inside of the flask that is to receive the measured volume. Remove the finger from the stem and allow the solution to drain from the pipette. After drainage, touch the pipette tip to the inside glass of the flask. This will remove the last required amount. There will be a small amount of solution still in the pipette tip. Do not blow this out. The pipette has been calibrated to leave this amount undelivered. The pipetting process can also be achieved using a pump instead of a bulb, seen here. If you need to reset the pump because it has not drawn up enough liquid, simply remove the pump, place your finger over the pipette to stop the liquid from draining, reset the pump by pushing it against your shoulder or the desk, and then continue. Pour some of the sodium chloride solution from part 1 into a clean 50 milliliter beaker which has been previously rinsed with deionized water. Swirl it around and discard it in the sink. Pour some more sodium chloride solution, roughly 20 milliliters, into the prepared beaker. Prepare the 10 milliliter pipette by rinsing it twice with the sodium chloride solution in the 50 milliliter beaker. Discard it in the sink. There is no need to first rinse with water as this is what was already used in part 2. Discard the contents of the beaker and pour a fresh sample of the sodium chloride solution into it. Clean and dry your 100 milliliter beaker by rinsing it with deionized water and drying it very carefully both inside and out with paper towel as to not get any moisture on the balance. Record its mass in Table 1. Transfer with the pipette 10 milliliters of sodium chloride solution from the prepared 50 milliliter beaker to the weighed 100 milliliter beaker. At this point, your balance should be reading the weight of the beaker and your 10 milliliter sample. Repeat this pipetting and massing step for at least 2 more trials until 3 readings are within 0.050 grams of each other. Remember, each time you add 10 milliliters to your beaker, you are weighing the cumulative mass